Hi everyone, welcome back to my craft room. If you're new to my craft room, then welcome. Today I'm working on one of these signs that I picked up last week at the Dollar Tree. I love these signs that have all the tin things on it here and stuff, but we're going to take those all off and we're going to I'm going to cover these actually with some of this wood grain paper. This I picked up at Hobby Lobby. Michael's just doesn't have these any. Or what I'm trying to say is they don't have a big variety of this anymore. They do have some, but not very much, not like they used to. But I did get these there, and these are actually the 8.5 by 11 sheets. And so I just taped two of them together with some, just regular Scotch tape on the back because they're a little bit too small. Even the 12 by 12 sheets would be too small for this because each one of these measures about 13.25 inches long, and then they're about 4.25 inches wide. So it was too big for either one of these, so I still would have had to piece them together, and I figured it would be better to piece them together in the center. That way when we put our decorations and things back on, it won't even really be noticeable at all. I'm going to use one of these welcome instead of having the love here for Valentine's Day. If you love this for Valentine's Day, keep it till Valentine's Day, and then you can switch it up later on. But I'm going to use this welcome tin here, and that one actually came from one of the ones from the fall that had Thankful Harvest and Welcome on it from Dollar Tree. It had all three of those words in there. So I'm going to use the Welcome one because I didn't use that one up yet. And then we're going to take these off. They are going to leave a little mess underneath. And when you take them off, you'll see that they're glued onto a wood piece, which is really nice because we're going to put these back on, and then it'll be like raised up a little bit. So, but for now, we're going to get them all off, and then I'm going to take a piece of, just rip off whatever it happens to pull off, a piece of sandpaper, and just smooth that out so it's not so noticeable. But the hearts are going to go back there, and it won't be noticeable anyway. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do that on camera because sanding on camera is just awful, but I'm just going to take this and just smooth this down nice, because we're going to glue our wood grain paper over this. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this glitter stuff. I'm just going to try to sand that down till it's, pretty smooth so I can glue the paper over it. Now on these wood hearts, I think around the edge of these, I'm hoping just the edge, I'm actually going to paint with this white Adirondack. This is Home Decor Folk Art chalk paint. And I'm going to go around the edge of that. And I like to use the chalk paint because acrylic paint will work, but it does seem to peel off much easier, and chalk paint really has a good hold on like glass and these metal pieces. And then I'm also going to sponge the welcome sign. I'm going to do that in white because our background is so dark. I really want this to kind of pop out. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And then I'm actually going to frame these in, and if you want to keep this, mostly Dollar Tree, you could use some of their nautical rope to frame the edge of this out. I'm going to use this stuff that I absolutely love, and this is the braided ribbon, jute ribbon from Michael's. And I forget what these cost, I don't remember, but I don't know if they're like $3.99 or if they're like $4, but you can get these with a coupon, and then you get a pretty good deal, or watch for them when they're on sale is even better. So you're going to need a little bit of Mod Podge, and make sure your corners are stuck down on these. I had to actually glue down a few of these corners because they were coming up. So I got them all glued down so they're going to stay nice now. And this one was kind of bent a little. I didn't notice that when I picked this up, but I just glued them back down with a little Mod Podge, and that's fine. And this was in the Valentine's section. Where are my scissors? Here we go. These you find in the Valentine's section. They had a couple different kinds. I forget what the other one said. I don't know where I put it right now. Oh, the other one does say welcome, but it's in that glitter and, Valentine thing. But you could use this one as well, and this one has the hearts on the bottom instead of the top. But you could switch them around on here too once you put your paper on. It really doesn't matter, but I want the welcome down here. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to get this out of the way here, and we're going to put our paint on. So while we're getting the paper and everything ready, let me grab a piece of scrap paper here. While we're cutting out our paper and stuff, this paint can be drying. So I'm just going to take this little welcome sign here, and I got some paint out already. And I'm just going to take a sponge brush, and I'm just going to sponge these white. And it doesn't take much. This stuff covers great on the tin. I mean, you could give it a couple coats if you want. I think I'm just going to do the one. I think that's going to be just fine. I don't know. We'll see when it dries what I think. But I think one coat is going to be fine on these. And it doesn't take much at all to paint these up. And you can do this with a brush too if you want to. But I like doing it with a sponge. That way you don't have any of your brush lines in there or anything. So that's all we're going to do for that. Oops. I was trying not to get paint on my fingers, but yeah, I may have to go over this with another coat because some of it's not sticking all that well at first coat. Or not covering all that well, I should say. Okay. I usually like to try to pop this away from it so you don't end up having it stuck too much in the paint. Whoops. Try to move that down here. Well, if it wants to. There we go. Okay, so let me leave that be. I'm going to stop touching it here until it dries. So now I'm going to take my smaller sponge. These all come like in a set at Dollar Tree too, these little brushes. And I'm going to try, see how this works. I want to try, I don't want too much on here. Try to just kind of tap it around the edge of this. That'll work good. I want a lot of the tin to show in the center. So I'm just going to tap this around the edge. You don't want a ton of paint on here. I just tap most of it off on the paper. But I'm just going to tap that around there. And I don't care if a little bit of it spreads. I think that looks pretty cool. So that's what we're going to do there. That I don't want that much in there. There. And that's all I'm going to do for these little hearts. And then in the center of these little hearts, I'm actually going to use some of the Dollar Tree jute. It's real thin jute. And I'm going to make little bows for each one. And then in this thing of buttons, these I found at Dollar Tree last week too, I picked out, which was perfect, was these little buttons here. They're kind of like an off-white color and it's a little bit brown around the outside of them. And I found 3 of those in that jar, and I think that'll be perfect to put on my little bows when I'm done. So that's what I'm going to do with these little guys. Let me go around these real quick here. Whoops, that's not good. So you don't want too much paint on here. There we go. Just the edges to stick out a little bit better on the dark background. There, I think that's good. I think that's going to look cute. Alright, let me get the paint on this little guy here real quick. Tap it off. Just kind of outlines it a little bit. And it'll also make it match the welcome that we just painted white too. Alright, so I'm going to let these little guys dry here. And I just want a little bit more over here. You just want to push in on the side, that's it. And it'll just kind of outline it like that for you. Alright, so that is all I'm going to do with those. So yes, I'm definitely going to go back and do a second coat on the welcome, but I will do that off camera after that dries. Alright, so let me set this aside here, grab my sign back, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish sanding this off and getting the white paint off my fingers, and then I'll show you how I measured out the paper for this. Okay, I got this all sanded off. You just want to keep sanding it until it feels pretty smooth so you don't have these letters raised anymore. And it didn't take too much to get these sanded off. So now I'm just going to take my 2 pieces of paper that I taped together, and then you're just going to want to figure out exactly how you want your pattern to look. And like I said, you could use any kind of paper on here. It doesn't even have to be wood grain if you don't want to. You could put a pretty background on here. But all I did was I just took a pen here and then I just traced around these edges. Whoops, there we go. Like that. And then I'm just going to put this one up here. And I kind of just want to keep this line in the center. So I might actually put this one up on the other edge so I know I have it even. Because there's not going to be much of this paper left. after I do this. So I'm just going to go around the edge here and trace this out. And then we're just going to go ahead and cut these out. And that's it. You can do it with scissors. You could use it on one of your little... I'm going to actually try to do it on my little cutter here. My Fiskars cutter. I got this at... I believe I got this at Michael's. And I love this little guy here. It makes life so... I'm not going to be able to put it in this way, but I can cut these edges off in it. It might come out... Let's see. Hopefully I can do this. And hopefully these edges are actually even straight. Alright. So maybe after I cut these off it might fit. I don't know. If not, I'm just going to have to cut it out with scissors. Let's see. Let's get on my line here nice. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, it will fit in there after I do that. Okay. So then let me cut these two sides quickly. And then I can cut those. I'll cut that a little short. I'm going to have to make this one a little bit longer. Alright. And I love that this has like this little wire in here so you can make sure you have your lines nice and straight, which I didn't do very well on my last one, but hopefully this one will be better. Alright, so let me pull these ends off here, and then it should fit in here so I can cut my lines out real quick. Real quick. My camera's, oh, it doesn't quite fit in here. I'm going to have to cut these out by hand, so let me go ahead. I'll pause this video here so this isn't too long, and I'm just going to take my scissors and cut down this line because it does not fit in my little Fiskars machine there. So hang on one second. Alright guys, I apologize. I don't know what my camera's doing here. It keeps wanting to shut itself off. So anyway, it's going to be a little jumpy there. I apologize for that. But anyway, I got those cut out, and then I just took one of my Dollar Tree paint brushes here. I'm trying to stand here to make sure it doesn't shut off on me again. And I just painted on some Mod Podge here I put in a little dish. And just make sure you get it all around the corners real good. And then I do it half at a time, and I get that down and then glue down, you know, just hold it up and then glue down the other half. So that is how I did that. And then I started putting on these things, which I thought I was filming, and I wasn't. But anyway, you just need to cut these out to size. And you kind of need to measure each side because they're not exactly right. But then when you do your ends on these, if you're going to use this, I mean, you can use ribbon, you can use, like I said, the nautical rope, whatever you want. But if you are using this ribbon, you really need to glue these edges together with a little bit of hot glue, and that will keep them from fraying. So that's what I did with that, and then I just kind of measure them out, corner to corner here, and then put a little bit of glue on that end too. Alright. And then once that cools down, you'll see, you know, the glue kind of squeezes out of it. This one didn't do too bad. I just trimmed the hot glue off that squeezed out. And then you just have a nice finished edge, and it won't come apart on you. So then we're just going to take the glue gun here, and we're just going to go down these edges and glue this on. I glued it on so it's just barely over the edge here, if you can see this, I hope. Just like that, just so you don't see the paper underneath that. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down all the way down the edge. There. Oops, there we go. That's better. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing when you cut your edge pieces. You're just going to measure them, you know, in between here, and just cut them off, and you're going to put some hot glue in those too. So that is all we're going to do for these. It's really easy. I'll see if I can get this a straight line all the way down. There we go, look at that. Before my camera decides it doesn't want to work for me anymore. I am going to have to get my other one out because this one has just been acting up awful lately. I do love it though because this one does do really good video when it's working correctly. Alright, so that is that, and then I just need 3 more of these pieces I need to cut out, and just going to glue my edges back on here. And just squeeze it right in the end. These finger protectors from Dollar Tree are like a finger lifesaver, that's for sure. Alright, just trim it off. The glue that oozed out, and then that should fit right in there like so. I may have to trim this one a little more. Yep. But anyway, that's all you do for the edges of these. Alright, so there we go. There we go, that's good. And the end pieces you're just going to put in here like this. So after I glue this on, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these out and put them on same way, and then we'll have like this nice little braided jute frame on here. Alright, so let me finish that up and come back, and hopefully everything's going to work out here. My camera's going to behave itself, and then we'll finish up. Alright, now we can put these things on. This is how the welcome sign came out. I think that's really nice. I'm just going to use a little bit of E6000 on the back of this, just because it's really hard to hot glue these down because the, whoops, that's way too much. The hot glue just tends to cool too quick on here. And you don't need much on here because these are very light and E6000 holds like crazy. Or you can try to hot glue it on here a little at a time, but when you hit the hot glue on the tin, it just kind of wants to just cool right off. So I'm just going to use a little tiny bit of this stuff. And then I figured right where the center line is, and this, whoops, get off of there, the top of this L here on welcome is right where the center is. So let's see if we can get this even. I think that looks good right there. Alright, let's see. Does it look good on the bottom? Yes. Alright, so we're just going to let that dry. And like I said, you don't need hardly any of this on there at all, because this stuff, you can glue glass together with this and everything. Alright, so then these luckily have these wood pieces on the back. So I'm just going to put some hot glue on these, and I think they should hold just fine. And then this one I'm going to put right on the center where the line is. There we go. And I'm going to have that one, that was up a little too high, but that's alright. And then these I kind of want to place like this way. Maybe even a little more than they were. Yeah, actually, I may actually put them like kind of even with that line. Kind of like that. Alright, let's do that. Or however you want. Just a suggestion. That's what I always try to tell everyone. These are just my suggestions. There's a million different ways you could do these. Yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty good. Let's see. Hopefully I'll get this even. Or close enough to even. I think that's good right there. There. And that's how those will be. And then I made little bows to go on here. I took some of the Dollar Tree jute string. It's really thin. And I just kind of doubled it and just cut a piece off because it's easier to work with. I just double it, and then you can cut the loop right off. And then I just made these small little bows. I just kind of made a loop here, and then go behind it, and push it through. That way, if you do it that way, then both of your little ends will hang down nice and straight for you. But that's it. Like I said, just make your loop, go around behind it, and pull it through. And so I made 3 of those, and then I just trimmed them all down so they're pretty much the same size. So I'm going to add these. Let's see, which side do I want? This side, I guess. I'm going to add these right where the little end, where the heart ends there in the center. And then I'm going to put one of those little buttons in the center of that. And then you could even add bows down here if you want to, but I don't want to. I just kind of want this simple, nothing flashy or fancy, kind of rustic, I guess, or farmhousey, which I don't have a lot of farmhouse stuff in my house, but I do have a little here and there, and I have a lot with just that jute ribbon on, so I figured this will match really nice, and it's a little cute coming in the back door. So then I'm going to take those buttons that I got out of that jar from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put one of those in the center of my bows. And I think that will look cute. And that's it. That's all we're going to do for this. Get my little buttons on here, and we are done. There we go. So, it's really easy. It took a little time here because my camera did not want to cooperate with me today, and it's just been that kind of day, like I said before. I know you guys have all had one of those days where just nothing seemed to work quite right. So anyway, that is it for our sign. I'm going to hang this up. I will take a nice picture of it to put at the end of the video here so you can see what it looks like hanging. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this little video. I will see you all next time. Have a great day, everyone.